Hello, everyone. Welcome to Inspire to Inspire. Today, I have a friend of mine, Mr. Ron Judkins. How you doing today, Ron?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I can't complain.
Thanks for
Introduce yourself to the people and tell them a little bit about what you do.
Okay. Again, my name is Ron Judkins, and I'm honored to be on this segment with Inspire to Inspire.
Thank
Just a little bit of background about myself. I am an entrepreneur, self-employed for many, many, many years. Did have a stint in the work world, even to the point where farming and all that stuff took place. So I got a little history of how I could build up to tell you about myself. So I'm excited to be a part of this and to get it out so that it may inspire someone else.
you. All right, thank you. We're gonna definitely get into all that. I want to let's start by uh, give us some information about your upbringing.
Okay.
Start from the beginning.
All right. When I was young, I was a single parent. My mom raised the four of us, and we was poor, like literally poor, poor. I can't emphasize um, how poor we were, but we was poor. But we, doing that whole transition, and I wouldn't change anything that I went through based on it makes you who you are today based on how you upbringing. Um, so I did when I was coming up, of course, school, but we had to farm. We was like a sharecropper on this land guy, this landlord person that we was staying under. So we had to work in this field during this crop season, and so I learned a lot about agriculture and sowing and seeding, growing, and all that type of stuff. Um, so I was the oldest boy, so I would go out and work in Tobago and get enough money so that I can help with the buying clothes for school. We didn't have running water until I was in the 10th grade, so that's how poor we were at the time.
Okay. Okay. We're glad you made it out of that. How many brothers and sisters y'all had?
One brother, two sisters that was raised in the same house.
And where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Warren County. It's a place called Hicks Grove. It's a community that's is north of Lewisburg, but it's a place called Hicks Grove. Real small community, but everybody know everybody type deal.
Right. So what was your inspiration to become an entrepreneur?
Well, actually, in school, I wanted to be a farmer. Graduating school, that's I did it for a year. I wanted to farm because that's all I knew. I grew up a farmer, and so I wanted to do that. But I always had this thing of wanting to be at the top or whatever I was doing. So I was like the supervisor, going to pick the help up, taking the equipment home, taking the cars home, uh, taking care of the tractors and all that type of stuff. So I was like in a supervision position. Basically, I knew then that I can't just settle. I have to get it to the top. So that's what I did.
Okay. And this is when you was in high school or just getting out of high school?
Just getting out of high school, first year.
Okay. So when did you start your entrepreneurial experiences?
Well, after farming, I'll never forget, I was in the field and the bus came through and I found myself kind of hiding behind the tobacco store. And I'm like, why am I hiding? Why am I ashamed? And I think I didn't want to. I was ashamed of in tobacco, you get real dirty, you get gummy and working. And I didn't want the students to see me dirty. So I had to really reflect and ask myself if this is what I want to do. And my answer was no. So once I came to that realization, I went into the workforce and I started at a place called Purdue Farms. Purdue Farms to me was similar to farming. However, this was, you didn't get so dirty type. So I went through that. I stayed there 5 years, and I got promoted to a supervisor there, and I worked basically just making sure everybody did what they supposed to do. And that was at Purdue Farms.
Okay. So you started at a young age working, clearly. What was your first entrepreneurial experience?
Well, from Purdue, I went to Burlington Mills, worked there for 8 years. So I'm trying to make sure you see before I actually got into self-employment and entrepreneur, I worked I tried it their way, put it so.
Right.
So I worked at Burlington Mills for 8 years. The place closed down. When it closed down, I went to a place called Imes, which is a dog food and cat food manufacturer in Henderson. While working at Imes, I started bail bonding. And my name wasn't out there yet, but I was still working third shift for Imes, still writing bonds when I got called. So it got to the point where my name began to get out, and I was getting bonds while I was at work on third shift, because most of the time in bail bonding, you get calls when it's late at night. So I was on the job, and then I had to make a decision whether or not to continue with IAMS or pursue my own business. And I made the decision to pursue my own business. So I left IAMS after 5 years.
So stepping out on your own, first time, right? You have a 9 to 5, and you say, "Hey, I'm gonna step out on my own." How scary was that? And what was the like how scary was it for one? And what was the thing that made you say, "I know I can do this"? Well, because you never turned back, right? You never turned back and went back to a 9 to 5.
No.
So that's a big step.
Right. What made me, was it scary? Yes, it was scary because the fact that you had nothing to fall back on. You could go to these jobs, work 8 hours, and whether you did any work or not, you're still gonna get paid from 8 hours. But with self-employed entrepreneurship, you may work all day and not make anything. So when I stepped out there, I said to myself, in bail bonding, you waiting on a call. So I needed something else to get it going. So I started a pager and cell phone place, doing that process of bonding. So I had that and started selling cell phones and pagers. And so once I had that locked in, it didn't tie me down to the point when I got a call, I couldn't go. Right. Because I had someone in the store running the store while I did other things to produce money. So I start seeing all these avenues, how you can bring in money regardless of doing it by self-employment if you're free. And my key was not to be tied down to one spot where I couldn't produce any other way. So I figured that part out at an early age. If the more mobile you are, the more things you can get done in different type of businesses.
Right. So you went full-fledged entrepreneurship, which is a great thing because most people got one foot in, one foot out. And I tell people all the time, that's why you're not successful a lot of times, because you're still banking on that 2-week check, and you're not putting all the faith in yourself to make sure you be successful. How did the cell phone business go? And this is what year? Around what time frame?
This is around 2000, maybe 98 or so. Yeah, it's a long time ago. So with the cell phone business, it was amazing because at the time Sprint was just coming on the scene with cell phones. And I was already doing pagers. So I got this contract with Sprint to be an authorized dealer. So when that came about, I was able to sell cell phones, the same cell phones. I don't know if you remember the store Radio Shack. Radio Shack had the same cell phones, the same styles, but they couldn't sell it cheaper than I was selling because I was an authorized dealer. So I sold cell phones to everybody in the 5 counties. Pretty much sold myself out of business. And that's a good thing in a way. It's better now because of technology, but back then It wasn't any technology. You couldn't go sell online. You couldn't do all that. You
Right.
had to. So I had tons of people coming into the store buying all this stuff, and just coming in. That's sale after sale after sale. I made my money not off the phone, but I made my money off the plan. So
Right.
I was talking them into getting the best plan, the highest plan, because that's how I ate. So you came in, if you wanted a $29.99 plan, you came to the wrong store. You left there, the max plan was $99. That's what you got when you left out of there, because you needed it and you didn't know it. You didn't know you needed it, but my job was to show you that you needed this plan.
You need it, right.
Right. So we were selling about 150 phones a week. I mean, excuse me, a month, which was bringing notoriety to the major Sprint people. They were sending people from Atlanta, Delaware, go see what this guy is doing. So they came into the store, and they shouted me because they wanted to copy the same thing in other states.
The sales technique.
Right. And I never forget, it was a guy named Marvin. He was my direct, and he was like, man, you got to teach me how you're doing it. And it was more just, I took the time when the people came in the store, I took the time to show them how the phone worked. Right. Instead of just giving them a phone and letting them out the door. So it was so many different features that they weren't aware of that I broke down that made them, like if they wanted a case, they're going to come back and get a case because I took the time, or the staff took the time to explain to them how it worked. So it wasn't about, okay, Radio Shack was doing the exact same thing, but they won't personalize it. And so I think that made the difference. Because you got to ask yourself, when you're an entrepreneur, you got multiple people doing the same thing you're doing, but what makes you different? And then if you take that concept and do something different, even though it's the same product, then that's how you make it out here.
That's true. And it's important that, just to back up what you're saying, when them people came to your store, you added value to them before you took their money.
Right.
So you showed them something that was important and that was, valuable to them, as far as, let me show you how to use this phone properly, how to get all the information you need, things that need before you sold them the highest plan.
Right. Right.
So you knew at an early age, I just got to add value. I get whatever I want from them.
Yeah, get a relationship. You start a relationship with a person, you can pretty much get what you need.
That's right.
That was the key for that.
So how did you add value to bail bonding? What was your difference in bail bond? I know you made a comment that, people, you're doing the same business, and, we all do the same business with someone. Right. What makes you different? What was your strategy going forward with that?
Well, I studied the guy that hired me was out of Raleigh, and I never seen this guy with anything other than a suit on. He was, to me, was the constant professional in the industry. So when I got out there and started seeing other bondsmen, I'm like, oh, this ain't the same profession based on the way they was dressed. So I said then, many times people don't know who you are, but they know something that you may have did, or where you may carry yourself, or what you may drive, or how you dress. And yeah. I took it upon myself to start wearing suits when I conducted these business deals. And they might not know my name, but they always said the bondsman with the suit.
Right.
And so when you telling that to a magistrate, you telling that to a jailer, you telling that to even an attorney, they say, oh yeah, you talking about Ron Judkins. Oh yeah. Right. So I start a relationship and start networking with those particular people, the attorneys, the clerks, the judges, just to introduce yourself and be aware of who you are and what you're doing. And that paid dividend, because at the end of the day, if they can't refer us to clients, but if they got a client that needs a bail bondsman, they can point them in the right direction without pointing them directly to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I know you ain't supposed to do that, but
no.
that's neither.
But
that's neither here nor there.
just like a state trooper. When he pull you, you running 80 miles per hour in a 65, and he gets to there and he say, you know what, I'm gonna let you go. He don't supposed to, but he sometimes do it because you
That's
was respectful. You answer his question, yes sir, and no sir, and he saw that. He don't see that every day.
you get the gift of gab. I tell you that. So, okay, so you did the cell phone store, you did the bail bonding. I'm pretty sure at that point, that's early. You didn't have your footing. You didn't know. You wasn't for sure.
No, when I was doing that cell phone place and I had the bail bond, it still was something missing because even though the cell phone was supporting itself, it wasn't supporting everything I was doing. So I said, if something else is missing. So I said, what can I do to supplement what I got going now? So I started selling alarm systems, going door to door. And I started doing that. Got, once I got in the door, you let me in, you got a system. It won't no ifs, ands, or buts. I find out who was in charge. Well, it was the husband or the wife, and then I talk directly to that person. And most of the time, it was the wife that made the decision. And so I would go in there and I was, make sure I include him by eye contact. But my focus was on the one that made the call, that can make the decision. And I was doing very, very well. I was selling a lot of systems, making a lot of money to the point where the guy that owned the business, he offered me partnership into the business. He said, I just want you to train the people like you learn, do it that way, and you'll eat, And so we did that 5 years. I was running the cell phone and doing the bail bond and doing the alarm system at the same time.
That's good. So you definitely had your hands full. So let me ask you a question. What happened to the cell phone? I know what happened, but tell people what happened to the cell phone business.
With the cell phone business, I started beginning to think that I was doing this thing on my own. And, I'm selling phones, I'm making this happen. I get up in the morning like, I'm finna go sell 100. I'm going to do this. I ain't no, if they come in the store, I'm going to sell them a phone. Nobody can sell like I sell. Now I had that attitude. But sometimes when you think you're doing it and you're not putting the faith in God and giving him his credit, he has a way to humble you down. And that's exactly what he did. I was selling 150 a month. It went down to 7. 3. Won't even making enough money to support the business. And then sometimes in business we have what we call pride, and pride will make you stay open because you don't want to see people to see you fail. So I stayed open on a business that wasn't producing, and then God had to kill my pride. And when I got to the point where I didn't know, okay, then with the alarm, so I was making with the alarm system, the partner did something to mess the business up. So that dried. So only thing I had was 7 cell phones a month that wasn't producing anything other than the bail bond. So I got to the point where, sometimes he'll let you go down to the 0 to get, when you go back this time, you already know who you'll get a credit to. So it was a very humble experience for me when God did that. And I'm thankful that he did it, because it made me even hungry. Because, sometimes when you don't have, I'm one of those persons, nobody gotta pump me up. I'm very motivated. I'm self-motivated because I know if I don't get it done, I don't eat.
Right.
And then I got family support on with that.
And you know what? And I think every entrepreneur go through that prideful moment where you hold on to a business. Just because it's a business, you hold on to, and you think, I know I can turn this around.
Right.
But really, you just more embarrassed the fact that
Exactly.
this thing's not working no more. So
exactly.
You gotta, you're right. You gotta cut ties early and be like, hey, you know what? Avoid this one. Go to the next mission.
Right.
But you gotta learn it. So that was your introduction to.
I learned this at early part of business. The number one thing you absolutely have to do is be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
If you're not honest with yourself, you're gonna run through a whole lot of stumbling blocks. But when you're
Yeah.
honest to yourself, because nobody knows you better than yourself. You can't fool yourself. You may try, but you can't really fool yourself. So if you're being honest, like I knew that business won't doing nothing, and to the point now I would really face myself and say, "Hey man, this ain't working."
Right.
Not to give up. No, go to the next mission. And that's what I did. I started, and I started thinking. My dad told me something. I wasn't raising my dad, but he said something that was so important to me back in the day. He was a farmer, and that's all he did, farming all his life. He wasn't educated. He wasn't educated to the point where back in those days they farmed. That's how they made their living.
They're living.
So he told me. He said, he said once you I know this thought ain't about to leave me because it was a good one. It was a really good thought.
Take your time. Take your time.
He told me that. He said one thing you got to do, and you will always make it. And he said, find out what your need is, and then start doing it. And I'm like, what do you mean? He told me this. He said, you're not gonna always have cash to buy what you want. You're gonna need credit. He said, so get your credit right. So I started a credit repair company. Once I got my credit right, I was like, man, everybody need this, and got the credit right. Because once your credit is better than cash, because you take your credit and get investments with your score. And so he said, the one thing you're gonna have to do is drive a car. Can't get around. You gotta have one. So I got my dealer license. So why not buy it at the lower price? And then he said, you got to have a house. So I went to real estate class school and I did all that. That ain't what I wanted to do. I wanted to learn the concept of real estate so that I can buy and flip without a license. So I went in all those areas and do that. And just because it made so much sense once you really think about it.
That's a jewel. He dropped a jewel on you. And I appreciate you sharing it with everybody because somebody gonna use that and run with it. Trust me.
Right.
And I think that's I believe most entrepreneurs are born with this mindset of, I just don't want to work for nobody else. I can do it on my own. Let me feed myself. So we have that I only eat what I kill mentality, right? And it's hard to teach people sometimes that way of thinking. But clearly you had it at an early age and but I guess who did you see that you seen do it and made you say, oh, I can do that? Because it's not a lot of people who, you don't really see a lot, besides like the stars and the entertainers. I'm just talking about like people who come from similar background who grind their way up from the roots and be successful, right? Without being in the limelight. Because a lot of people in the limelight sometimes, people admire them because of their star status and their positioning. But they don't really look at the work that's put in and things of that nature. So who was the person that you looked at and say, I'm gonna do this?
Yeah, I had the ultimate example that not only showed me, but I lived it with her, and that was my mom. My mom raised us four with nothing, So even when I said, listen, I could do this, I already been down lower you can go, pretty much financially centered. So it was like, and I saw how hungry she was to make a better life for us with the limitations that she had, with the lack of education, the no resources, no opportunity, but she made it work. I never seen her give up on nothing. I never been a day that we didn't eat something.
Right.
Never been where the lights was completely off. It was due, but it won't off. Never that. And never seen her cry, never seen her complain. She just got it. She just got up and made it happen every day. Something different every day. And that inspired me to get to the point where you can get out here and make it work if you work it. And she didn't have what we have today because you got a lot of networking. You could network with people now. You don't have to get the whole hog, but you can get the ham, let somebody else get the ham, and everybody get a shoulder, and you networking together. You can't lose. You can't lose, and it's less energy that you put out.
Right. So explain to the people all the different, because you got your hands on a bunch of things, and I think that's very inspiring in itself. Explain to the people all the things you do.
Okay, right now, of course, the bail bonding, Trinity bail bonding, then the credit repairs, Trinity Investments that does credit repair, and I got my dealer license. I'm part owner of a daycare in Granville County, part owner of a restaurant in Warren County. Dealer, restaurant, credit repair. I think that's about it. Yeah.
And you're saying all the counties, but let's just be clear. This is all in North Carolina. All these counties are North Carolina.
Right. Absolutely.
So you got a lot of incomes coming in.
Right. And you gotta have, and especially when you jump out as an entrepreneur, you need multiple rivers of income. You got to have streams coming through, because if one is slow, it don't stop your whole flow. Right. Something can be coming in and something can be slow. Even like with the pandemic and where they're going now, the restaurant is nothing. It's slow. Slow is an understatement at this point. So when the pandemic hit when the first time it came around, it was a lack of knowledge. Nobody knew what was going on, pretty much. Right. So they start shutting everything down because they didn't know, and everything that I did was almost shut down. So it rattled me, and I'm like, whoa, what is going on? And I never forget, I heard a preacher preaching, and he said that message was, he preached about the 10 virgins, 5 wise and 5 foolish. He said, which one are you going to be? He said, you're going to either take the approach of the 5 foolish that ran out of oil, that they should have had oil when the bridegroom came, or you're going to be the one that all keep your oil ready. And I just refused. I went back to the point where, I've been against the odds all my life. So I got back to that, and I started back, put my back to the wall. I said, let's go. Pulled my pants up, and then we went to work.
Right. And it's great. It's great because, like you said, you had 5 streams of income and only one was affected. But at a point, they all was affected. We all was affected by it. But because you've been the entrepreneur for so long, you've been working for yourself for so long, and just working and saving for so long, you understood that, hey, nothing lasts forever. Right. We put some of these acorns away. So when it do hit the fan, I can at least keep my family straight until we figure something else out.
Absolutely. If you're not putting away something out of every stream that you make, you should be putting a portion of that, whatever fits your budget, but put something away, because you never know. And when it gets to a point where you really need it, you can really get it. You can really have more from it. And then you got to have support. You got to have support. If you're married, the spouse got to be there. You got to understand the same. Like my wife know my grind. She know what I'm about. And she, sometimes you can be so on a husband that he can't do what he wants to do, but not with mine. Mine knew what kind of dude I was at the beginning. Right. And she know that at the end of the day, we're going to eat by all means.
Yeah. And you know, love her like a sister. Right. I can tell her all the time, you only made one mistake I know about, but we deal with that later. So now that you successful, give some information to the people. I don't want to just say kids, because you're not really about teaching entrepreneurship to kids, because we don't do that in schools and things of that nature. And a lot of times, like I said earlier, kids look at sports stars and these entertainers and things of that nature. But these are heights that they, not saying they can't reach, but the majority of them won't make it there. But it's people like us that have that own businesses that this is obtainable for just about anybody. You know what I mean? So not only just kids, but young adults as well. Give them some game on what they should be doing, or just give them some game on entrepreneurship.
I think the key to entrepreneurship is doing something you love. If you find something that you really, really like, it becomes to the point where it's no work. It's not work anymore. It's fun. Even though you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to make moves with it. But if you really love it, it's like it's easy. You like now, I wake up in the morning. Sometimes I don't even have an agenda. I say, okay, I'm gonna just ride, and then I let the day predict itself.
Right.
And which is I don't like to have to be at a place when they tell me to. It just don't sit well with me. I like the point where if I want to sleep to 10, I sleep to 10. But I ain't crazy now. If I know it's money at 8, I'm gonna be there at 8.
Be up at 8.
Yeah. But it's when I come home at the end of the day, it's not like, oh my God, it's gonna be 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna get back out here. No, that ain't with me. When I get home, it's like, babe, I had a good day. You know what we're gonna eat. Right. Get that out of the way. Then I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, how I can make this better, smoother, and how I can network to get it where it enlarge itself. And once you say, because you never going, an entrepreneur mind never stop working. It never stopped. Everything's happened for a reason. So you can sit, some things will take place like me and looking at stocks and all that stuff. That's something that when I was growing up, you didn't even hear about no stocks.
Right.
You didn't hear about none of this stuff. And you'd be like, okay, so it's new to us, but we're willing to figure it out. And when you're willing to figure out anything, it'll work. You just gotta keep it grind. And just don't when it's sometimes when you have to take a shortcut, 9 times 10 you're gonna mess up.
Right. My motto, take the stairs. I don't want the elevator. Give me the stairs. Because the long way is always the best way.
Right.
And one thing I know about you is you know how to monetize everything. You know how to make even if you're doing one thing, you're gonna figure out another way to make money in that same thing in a different way.
Right.
So that's definitely important that a lot of entrepreneurs need to know. Like, and what about mentoring? Like, did you have a mentor, or you just figured it out on your own?
I had this man that, when somebody that you see successful, that you know for a fact is successful, I listen to you. I mean, because you're already there. You done been there. Now, I never forget when I was in the alarm business, I was driving this Chevrolet, what was it? Century. And every time I pull up somebody's house, I had the ADT sticker on it. And I pull up to the house, you can hear it coming down the street. That's how loud it was. Mm-hmm. And then when I get ready to leave the house, the customer had to give me a jump most times. And a guy told me that this is the same guy I'm talking about. He told me, I was at his house selling him alarm systems. He told me, he said, man, I'm gonna tell you this. He said, you can give me no system. I said, what do you mean? He said, your presentation and all of that was off the chain. He said, but when you drove up, my mind was already made. He said, hey, this guy ain't got nothing. How he gonna sell me something?
Right.
So I took that as your presentation it means everything. You got to present yourself to the point. So it changed my whole pattern of thinking. So when I would go out, I would borrow my uncle's car, nothing flashy, but something very presentable. And I would I found myself getting into more houses and doing more and closing more deals until I got to get the company car. So he taught me that you got to look like you're there, even when you're not quite there yet.
That's right.
And most of the people, that's where they fall short. It's a way you can take a 3-piece suit and leave the vest off one day and change the shirt, and that's a whole nother
Whole
suit.
new suit. That's right.
So you ain't gotta, you gotta present yourself in a way like that to carry where you're going.
Yeah, and that's important. That's one of I think that's one thing that connected us when we first met was dressing, because we both like to put suits on and dress well and look like, not just look. I mean, you got a lot of money. I don't, but I like to look like I got money.
I'm gonna
So
see. I'm gonna go ahead and let you speak
thank you. I appreciate it.
it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you got a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money, so I try to look like I got some money.
Right.
But I'm trying to put my pennies together. But you're 100% right. We definitely have to present ourselves. And even that, I do bail bonding too. So, our coworkers, or I guess you call them coworkers, whatever you want to call them. But the people that do bail bonding like us, they look like they just don't present themselves in the best way.
Well,
right?
Let me help you see.
Okay. Go
They
ahead.
look like the criminals that you're bonding out, most of them, based on their appearance. So you don't know who's the client and who's the bondsman in most cases, which is, hey, that's the way they roll it. Do it.
But one thing I know about you, I hear a lot of people, they think you're a lawyer, and you be sharp. And I know that brings in, because people feel trusted when they feel like you take care of yourself. They don't mind giving you some money.
Absolutely.
Now, if you look like you're going to take money from them, it's not going to be the same.
A little scary.
They're not going to have the same attraction. Yeah.
A little
But you definitely, with the nice cars you drive and money spent, things of that nature. So but you earned it because you have a lot of businesses. You're very successful.
Right.
So
and then I remember when I was partnered with a guy named my partner, and he had mentioned your name, but I didn't know you. I had never seen you, and I think you came to him for some help and some, teach, hey, am I doing this the right way or whatever? Because sometimes when you get in this business, you're supposed to be on the supervisor for a year, but they never supervise you. They just throw you out there and let you do your own thing. And I never forget, I think I saw you at the jail, and you were asking something, and I said, well, he coming hard. You see, I love competition.
Right.
I've never been one that, because it makes you and keeps you sharp. So when I saw you coming, I knew you were coming. I knew you were coming hard. But I have learned what's for me is for me.
Right.
Nobody can take it. So my job is to help you to get where you need to get in this business, and in hopes that you do the same for somebody else that wants it. You got some people that you can't help.
That's true.
Yeah, and when you get to when you realize that you can't help them, move on.
You're right. And you know what? I don't really look at competition. Like you said, what's for me is for me, and what's for you is for you. I can't answer your phone, you can't answer mine.
Right.
But I don't like to be told, no, you're not gonna help me. Especially when I don't really, like you said, we just need a supervisor for a time. And that was the situation with your partner. I just needed him to supervise me so I can, get going. But he was like, I don't need nobody around here like that. I said, oh, okay, well, I'm coming anyway.
Right.
And shit. So now I bet you probably say, you know what, that was not the right move.
Right.
I definitely had him in my sights. And every time I seen him, I'm gonna get up there, I'm gonna do that 2:00 in the morning bond, we do the 3:00. You're gonna fuel me to be the top bondsman. And that was the goal, like just be at the top, because I want him to at some point have to say, yo, you know what, I'm sorry, I should have did that. You know what I mean? Because I don't like to not help people. I'm always about helping people.
Right.
So
that's why you go as far as you go, by helping people.
Yeah. And that's it. But you have to. Like, I can't get everything on my own, and I'm not here forever, and who wants everything to themselves? That's a lonely spot to be in. So it's always good for me anyway, I like to just make sure everybody eats, and, we all at the same, if I can help you, I'm going to help you. Just like even doing this platform, if I can help somebody with it, if it help one person, I think it's successful.
Exactly.
Because everybody needs help. We all need help. We all need information at some point and motivation. So what's your 5-year goal?
My 5-year goal, can you see me now?
I see you.
Because I can't see anything on this end. My 5-year goal, actually it's going to be in 4 years. I'm going to retire at 55. So I'm 51 now. So 4 more years, I'm going to retire. I'm going to retire to the point where I still have businesses, but I'm not working those businesses. Those businesses are self-ran. So my next 4 years, I'm getting in position so these businesses run themselves.
That's good. So what are you gonna do when you when you get to? I know the answer to it, but you tell her what's your plan, because you worked so hard for so many years. And let me negate that, because that's not really true. We work hard, but we work smart.
Right.
So with everything you have running, and I'm gonna jump back a little bit, and I probably should have asked you that earlier. People might look at it and say, "Man, he don't have no time in the day." Really tell them about how your life is. Like, your life is not bad. It's really good.
I have it's really nice.
I know.
It's really nice because, my thing is, you get done what you got to get done. You make this money that you got to make. But when you're not, I'm big on not being stressed. That's my biggest thing. Stress causes your body to do some things that you don't like.
Right.
I learned that the hard way. So now I do what I got to do. I love to play golf. I get out there and play golf. My phone ring. I'll stop in the middle of the ninth hole and go do the pond if I need to. So it ain't no big deal. There's no pressure. There's no pressure. I enjoy it. So when I retire, I'm gonna travel. I'm gonna jump on an airplane in the morning, go to Florida, play 9 holes, jump back on the plane, come back. That's all I'm gonna do. That's it.
Must be nice.
It must be nice. I guarantee it's gonna be lovely.
And that's the end game for entrepreneurs. We work so hard for so long so we can live life the way we always dreamed it on the back end. And I'm not taking nothing from 9 to 5. Somebody got to work, right? But 9 times out of 10, you work, and then you retire, and then you go work for somebody else, so you get a part-time job. I think our end game is create so much streams of income as far as businesses and partnering up and things of that nature. And when you want to sit down and say, "Hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to write another bond." So now you have agents to write for you. Exactly. So your business doesn't close because you decide not to write no more. You just implemented other people in position to do the work for you. And with every business, you have the daycare and the dealership. At some point, that's your end game. I'm gonna stop doing this, but not that I'm gonna stop doing it where I'm not gonna make no money off of it. I'm gonna continue making money off of it. I'm just gonna have more leisure time to spend with my family and golf, things at night, things you like to do. That's awesome.
With daycare, I can't handle a bunch of kids at the same time. I can't do it. It ain't in me. But that don't mean I can't run a daycare. I just can't physically be the one in the classroom with the kids.
Right.
No, I can't do that. So I'd be an idiot to start a home daycare here, and I'm the teacher.
Right.
So where your strong points are, and then
your limitations.
Yeah.
Right. And some moves are just business moves. Like, this is a good business move. Like, I can't do this. Exactly. And I've done it. I've started a couple of companies and like, if I don't get nobody to work it, I'm just not gonna be able to do it. Right. It's just not in me.
Exactly.
That going into it, like, this is all business, nothing personal about it. So I definitely get that. So tell everybody, in closing, how they can reach out to you. I don't want to hold you too long because it's hard for me to edit it. But tell everybody how they can get in contact with you, your social media pages, and name of all your companies.
Okay. Well, you can get in contact with me through bail bond. Is Trinity Bail Bonding. We're the best place to ever find a bondsman's number is at the jail. They got it there. Call the jail if you can't get me. Got an office on 204 South Main Street here in Lewisburg. Got an office on 139 South Main Street in Warrenton. Office 201 Oxford Loop Road in Oxford. You can reach me in all those places. Social media, not a big fan of it. Not on it.
Right.
So,
Right.
so do have
Tell about the daycare.
yeah, we do have a website. You can reach me at all times. That www.trinityinvestmentfinancial.com. And then 9 times out of 10, you'll see me somewhere around the courthouse.
What about the daycare?
The daycare, the address is 201 Oxford Loop Road. That's in Oxford, North Carolina.
You didn't get a name.
The name of it is Kid Academy. Kid Academy in Oxford, North Carolina. So if you got kids out there and you need someone to keep them, look us up.
Look, for the you do credit repair, but you also do financial literacy. You teach people about finances also. You didn't even mention that. So
Yeah, financial counseling to me is more important than credit repair because I teach you, I can get your credit clean and fixed, but then teach you how you got into it and you're going right back. So financial counseling takes you in stages on how to you can take a lot of people think you got to have a whole lot of money to go through financial counseling, but you can take $200 a week. And if you categorize it the way it needs to be categorized, you'll be successful with that least amount. So when you get to the bigger money, you already know the foundation of it. So we try to teach you the foundation of finances.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell the people before we sign up?
Well, that's about it. As an entrepreneur, I say just no shortcuts and multiple streams of income. You can't go wrong.